Namaste, Jagdish here. As part of our conversations on learning for transformation, we are entering episode 11. Episode 11 will look at lesson 10 in the series. As we had seen in the earlier few episodes, we were exploring education and learning as a co-constructing hypothesis. The ability to co-construct hypothesis with the child is the best way to educate. In fact, that is the best way to even educate ourselves. If you look at it closely, everything that we know about the world is nothing but a hypothesis awaiting its falsification. As long as a theory or a law is not falsified, it remains a theory or law. Otherwise, given the nature of our world, given the nature of the changing nature of knowledge, we can presume that everything is provincial, everything is temporary, constructed in order so that we can make sense of the present condition of our world. So, hypothesis is something that is a beginning point of learning and education, co-constructing the hypothesis. The co-construction of hypothesis, one more thing that needs to be added here is that we start delving into those hypotheses that are really accommodative. Hypothesis that can accommodate as many variations and as many observations that we make about life is something that we consider valid. A hypothesis that is accommodative. Now, in order to educate our children most comprehensively, probably we need to look at the most comprehensive hypothesis also. What is that hypothesis that we can help our children acquire, or in the process we also acquire, that would help us accommodate everything? However uncertain, however temporary, however fragile the whole thing appears, even those things can be accommodated in such hypothesis. Such a hypothesis is something that really is universal. And how do we really attain that? We need to recognize here that the nature of learning is something that's unique to human beings. The other kind of learning that we see amongst animals is instinctual. Here, we are looking at not innate kind of learning, but the non-innate kind of learning, where we make sense of calculus or very complex poetry or Shakespeare, or we make sense of the history, or we start understanding the Egyptian pyramids. Everything matters in this non-innate learning. How do we come about causing this for our children so that children make valid decisions about the world they are living into and they are living in? We need to look at it from a different perspective here. One of the antidotes for learning is urgency. Urgency has again two components. One is urgency for action, an urgent sense of action, a feeling that we need to act urgently. That's number one. Second is urgency about causing a difference, about causing a change, about fixing something. Now, the first kind of urgency is good enough to be quick in order to deal with the things that we see around the world, probably in managing pollution, managing our health, etc. Quick action about it is very, very critical. But moment we cause urgency in fixing something, in changing something, that is the fundamental culprit of all learning processes, of education itself. As parents, educators, teachers, and school leadership, probably we will have to explore this. Where are we exhibiting urgency that cannot be accommodated into what we can call as learning? If you remember, right in this conversation and also in the previous conversations, we had seen how important hypothesis construction is in education, and that is what is learning all about. Urgency is an antidote to hypothesis creation, because urgency is all about coming to conclusion. And education, if you remember right, in one of the conversations where I had referred to Shahzadeh and the Arabian Nights, education and learning is all about remain inconclusive, infinitely inconclusive. Urgency of action, but no urgency in conclusion. So we'll keep meeting. Thank you so much for being with me. Jagdish here. Namaste.